We are very pleased to be here from Canada and just happy to be here and represent. I have been working with Moodle since 2010. Jesus has been working with it almost as long as well. The integration, I'm jumping ahead. I'm Fred Dixon, I'm the CEO of Blindside Networks and also the co-founder of BigBlueButton. And I want to ask a few questions before we start. So let me ask in the room, how many people here are Moodle partners? Ooh, okay. And how many people here have used BigBlueButton before? Okay. And then for all the newcomers, how many people have not used BigBlueButton before? Okay. So you're going to see the ongoing work that we have done to integrate with Moodle. And let me go to the next slide. Okay, so I have a session tomorrow, which is going to be talking more about the pedagogy side and the AI and where it's kind of changing the world and some of the future of BigBlueButton itself. For this session, we're really focused on our integration with Moodle. How can we surface the value of Moodle in BigBlueButton and vice versa in the context of delivering effective virtual classes? You can think of us as the synchronous component to Moodle's asynchronous. We work together deeply. So we have been embedded into the core since 2020. That's when this thing called COVID hit, and we had been working with Moodle for 10 years before then, and they're like, okay guys, everybody in the world needs some more like virtual classrooms, why don't we just build you into the core? There was a whole explosion of use around. So Blindside Networks, the company that started the BigBlueButton project, there were cases where we had increased our hosting infrastructure 60 times in size. We were running 250,000 concurrent teachers and students. And in terms of Moodle, there's one use case I always like. The state of Germany, Baden-Württemberg, they had 3,000 schools all running Moodle. During COVID, they set up 4,000 BigBlueButton servers, and they peaked at 185,000 concurrent teachers and students. That was back in 2020, right? So let's roll ahead, and we're going to give you a little bit of update of where we're at, but really gone further as well. But we're happy to be in the core. We always like to say we look like part of Moodle because we are part of Moodle. In terms of the Moodle partners, we Blindside Networks provide reselling of hosting around the world, and we work with over 25 Moodle partners. And they provide our hosting to their customers. We work closely with them, and we also add value to the integration of Moodle, which we're going to talk about, some things that will be available to Moodle partners to even increase that value. So Blindside Networks, we started the BigBlueButton project in 2007. We've done over 2 billion minutes, probably higher now. And we have many customers around the world. In particular, the French ministry uses us at scale. So they run BigBlueButton servers in France with French servers and French administrators. And they have funded a lot of development of the BigBlueButton project. So the French Ministry of Education and the French government for interministerial communication, over like 150,000 sessions. So you're going to hear us talk a lot about Moodle Workplace, but there is uses of BigBlueButton beyond, because we do real-time audio, video, and so on. The European Commission has a large on-site deployment that we're working with them, that when it goes live, probably in January, we'll have capacity for over 5,000 concurrent users in it. So that's a sovereign digital on-site deployment, similar to what we've done with other areas around the world. And this is an example of how BigBlueButton, again, can sort of meet the moment for data privacy, digital sovereignty. And Red Hat. How many people here use Red Hat or Red Hat Linux? Okay, so you, for a smile and $5,000, can sign up for a Red Hat training course, and you will be taught in BigBlueButton, right? And they use BigBlueButton, not Teams, not Zoom. They use BigBlueButton because they want that engagement. They want that high-touch, authentic engagement with the students, so that when you go to a Red Hat training course, you are learning from a teacher, with a teacher, and you are not just sitting there watching a Zoom session. That's a horrible way to learn. So they use us, and they use us at scale, and they've been using us now for almost 2 years. And BigBlueButton, for those of you that don't, it's a virtual classroom platform, and we also empower educators to improve our world. Like, we are all in on the need for, education is the future, is a foundation for our future, and I think of no better way to spend my life than to actually spreading the ability for teachers around the world. I think every student deserves access to a quality education, and every teacher or educator deserves the best platform to deliver it. And unbiasedly, that would be Moodle and BigBlueButton. So things have been changing in BigBlueButton. So we have our platform recently called 3.0. We sort of took a page from Moodle, and now we can do plugins on top of our product. And what that means is there's a core BigBlueButton, and we can extend it now without modifying the core, same like Moodle. An example would be is if you took a look at the latest version of BigBlueButton and we have a select random user, that's actually a plugin. So that means we can modify, we can enhance it, and the plugins don't necessarily have to be open source as well. So again, kind of a page from Moodle Workplace. We, Blindside Networks, want to increasingly add value for commercial uses of BigBlueButton. The plugins open up an avenue where we can do that and do it with our partners. And let me just emphasize, we are open source all the way since 2007. So we have a global community. We're all localized into over 55 languages now, including right to left. We care a lot about accessibility. So we have WCAG 2.1 AA. And we have over 100 developers now that have contributed improvements to the product. And we have cybersecurity people who have actually given us feedback on it. And recently, this is not public yet, but you'll hear it shortly, the European Commission has a budget for sponsoring critical open source projects for Europe. We are going to be one of them, and they're going to actually be sponsoring bug bounties. So they'll be with a site called Yes We Hack. You'll be able to submit, and if you find a genuine bug in BigBlueButton, you get some money from it. So another example of like this product is just getting better and better. And then we're built into the core of Moodle 4.0, 4.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.1, and counting. And so each one of those ways along the way, Jesus and his team, Shimiso is here, right in the front, they have been like tirelessly working to improve the product, deepen the integration, and make it more modular. And that modularity is what we're going to talk about. Okay, so what problem are we solving? In the world today, if you just take a virtual class, you may take one traditionally where the instructor is going to talk for 2 hours, share their screen, and it is an information delivery exercise. The problem is that our attention spans have been kind of diluted by TikTok, and especially for any type of education, if you want to do homework like higher ed, the challenge they're facing is that most students now are using AI. And I'll talk about this more tomorrow, but basically they're using AI to shortcut the real learning. So if the homework is no longer working, and the students are basically using AI to offload it, what is left? And the answer is the classroom, the physical or virtual. That is the time for authentic engagement. So whatever you can do in that classroom to empower the educator to do more authentic engagement, that is what we have thought about and worked on for many years. And again, it's just not video. Video is the medium. It's what you do with and the platform that you use to do it. So if you have passive learning, you just have low learning outcomes. Again, it's just not how our brains work, and I'll talk about it a bit more tomorrow. If during the class, the instructor is only able to give limited feedback because the students are not sharing webcams, they're invisible, or the instructor teaches a lot of students during the day, we all think back to a time when a teacher made a difference in our life. It's always an exceptional teacher, right? We want all teachers to be exceptional, but we want that experience to happen in a virtual class as well. So you have limited feedback if it's kind of one-way information delivery, and then there's limited reporting. Analytics are key. It's key to workplace, it's key to making decisions. If you just shell it out to Zoom or Teams and you don't know what happened during the class, then you as the administrator, like, okay, I've delivered 1,000 classes this month. What happened? Well, who knew, right? You delivered it, but you can do so much better. So how can we do better? Definitely with active learning. So instead of using third-party tools like Kahoot or Nearpod, we have built a lot of active learning into BigBlueButton that creates analytics. And these encourage more learning outcomes with more interactivity. The analytics, both from us, all the built-in learning tools that generate analytics. So we can provide live analytics. And now we want to be able to do more with it, which is basically sending analytics to and from Moodle. There's a Moodle word there missing. So BigBlueButton can now store and retrieve analytics from Moodle. And all this data is available at the instructor's fingertips during the live session. And then integrated reporting. Again, a cornerstone of workplace, how can you make data-driven decisions to improve your the outcomes for students? Well, you need the data to do it, and we have a ton of data. Okay, so our quest, which I'm going to turn it over to Jesus, is to provide better analytics for Moodle and BigBlueButton. So give Jesus a round of applause.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here today. Well, my name is Jesus Federico. As Fred mentioned, I've been working with BigBlueButton for since 2011 beginning, and specifically with Moodle since about that date as well. So we have been following all the stages in the growth of Moodle along with the capabilities we have been bringing from BigBlueButton into Moodle. And today, the plan was to bring still the name of the first slide from a presentation I heard yesterday from Marie, which is she was talking about how is Moodle being shaped. We are doing kind of the same thing with BigBlueButton, trying to make something definitely that impacts the education around the world, improving the way virtual classrooms work. And particularly today, we're talking about that work presented into Moodle. But instead of going to the future, this was when we started putting those slides or this presentation together. We were uncertain that some of the things that we're going to see today are going to happen. So it's more present, or if future is the just next future. Some of the things were not there, but they're going to be there in Moodle 5.1, which is just about to be released. So with that, I want to mention this just happened this year, and the most important things that happened with all this work started with 4.5 last year, and we actually presented in the previous conference in Mexico with the enhancements we did for 4.5 in preparation of what we knew it was coming with Moodle 3.0. So, but the focus is the same. That focus has been customization. As some of you might know, BigBlueButton has been around for a while, but it's an external application to Moodle. Many people see it like the same thing because they are using it, but it's in fact an external application. And the way we bridge those two applications is through a plugin that lives in Moodle, sorry. And it was in a contributed plugin, and it has been, as Fred mentioned, in core since version 4.0. That integration didn't come short of challenges. After the integration, because the policies in the way that Moodle has been growing, especially in the last few years, is more focused on the stability. It's not easy to bring some of the functionality that we wish we could bring. And it's not something that just comes from the top of our head. It's what our customers, partners, and the community in general has been asking us to bring to BigBlueButton. However, many of those cases cover one specific use case that is not applicable to everybody else. So that has been the challenge. So what we did is we work around that situation, and we now have capability in Moodle Core that enable us to write sub-plugins for BigBlueButton, which let us do this customization without touching core at all. So the key features came in, actually this came since version 4.2, a couple of years ago. But it's the support for sub-plugins. But it also came in 4.5, we added the ability to handle the data that is coming from BigBlueButton into Moodle. Again, this was in preparation to which we know was coming for BigBlueButton 3.0. 3.0 with the new architecture, which is based on plugins, has let us have or write some plugins that connect to Moodle or receive the data that is passed from Moodle and this interchange of data. And with that, I want to bring on the stage this line out of beautiful plugins or sub-plugins that we have to offer now for that customization. So the first one we're gonna go through is the one that allows the communication from BigBlueButton into Moodle. That is called, in this case, BN reports, and this is where developers probably should have some advice of someone in marketing, because we're not very good at putting names to the components. Well, it's called BN report, but I'm looking at it, should be called BN analytics or something like that, because that's what we do. We receive all the data that is coming from the live session, and this is data what we had before. This is coming from the completion that comes from, I don't know, 2018 probably, and but we are now taking the data, putting it in the Moodle database, breaking it apart and putting it in the database, and using it in other applications. The main one is reports. So we have several reports. Anybody who is using the report builder will have access with this sub-plugin to in this case, this is the attendance report. It comes with a system report and some data sets for data sources for the same. We also have engagement, which is something that we believe is important for the teacher to know what is the student that is engaged in the conversation, in the meetings or the classes. The one we have in 5.1 is this new capability. The reports were there. They were there since last year, but they were not accessible to everybody. There were some steps that an administrator will have to do to enable them, etc. But now they are, with one click, available from the room itself. So this will be presenting these two reports, filtered and are ready for the meeting or the room that you were selecting. Now let's go to the data coming from Moodle to BigBlueButton. So and for that we have another name, BN Alerts. Well, this is the data that is coming from Moodle to BigBlueButton. So when this plugin is enabled, the administrator will have the ability to enable or disable these other functions. One is to pass the full roster or the enrollment of the course to BigBlueButton, and the other is to pass some extra data points that we are going to be using there, as we'll see. Those data points, the teacher will have still the option of enable them or not, and once that happens, users go in the same way to BigBlueButton, and the first thing they see when they have this BigBlueButton plugin also installed and enabled, the list of students who are not present, the absentee list. As students are joining the meeting, they disappear from the absentee list and they become just users. But there is more. We have this option as well, which is to present the data that is coming from Moodle. So the way we're doing it, we have a number of data points that are implemented by default. And those data points are coming from the Moodle database and just throw into Moodle. Again, this can be selected by the teacher. Not all of them might be required or decided, but the ones that are so can be selected and passed. So we have, additionally, custom data points. And this is where things become a little bit interesting. The data for that, I'm going to bring these two guys to the stage as well. So the one that I want to mention is engagement score provider. which is based on the data that we are already receiving from Moodle, from BigBlueButton into Moodle. Remember, we pass some data for the reports to Moodle, and then we pass this back to Moodle to present this alert. So now we are processing as well the data we receive, and with that, we are calculating a score. And that score, same thing. This is a kind of a sub-plugin, not really. It's a driver. It's a sub-plugin that implements a data driver for the data point, and that is the one that do the calculation and makes the calculation and send it to, enables the actual sub-plugin to send that data to BigBlueButton. That's the score. And well, that's the score. And that's how it works. The next thing we have, and this is going to be only possible on 5.1 and forward, is the ability to modify the way we present the rooms in Moodle. An example of that, and for that we have a sub-plugin as well that was developed by Shamiso, who is just here as part of my team of 2 people. And yeah, that was the one. And essentially, what it does is, if you have seen this working, you might remember that we have this user interface for showing the recordings. This comes in previous version. We had 2 options. We had either pure HTML and the JavaScript version. The JavaScript version will have some functionality like searching, filtering, etc. The way we did it when we integrated into core, just to simplify, because before we had to maintain the 2 of them, we took the more complex one, or the most complete one, that was the JavaScript one. The downside is that it was based on data tables, and that has created a nightmare for those who customize and create themes, etc. So what we have, I know that Moodle has the plan of changing that, but in the meanwhile, what we have as an alternative is a sub-plugin that will override the view, and it's already giving that functionality in a different way. It's just essentially, it's using JavaScript still, but just removing the data tables, and it's presented in a nicer way. And that's all we have. So the idea of this presentation was naturally walk you through this enhancement we have made to the plugin that can be used right now, but also walk you a little bit through the future, the plans that we have, and get your feedback. So in this case, what I'm going to present to you is some experimental feature we have been working on, but only the ones that apply directly to Moodle. Those are, but the intention is that you give us your feedback and see if those are applicable to your cases. And we want to hear from you all those cases that we are not covering, and we will be covering in the near future. So for that, I'm going to bring another sub-plugin, which is the BN AI quiz, which was originally planned for only do quizzes, but then it was extended to do a little more. So this one gives the teacher the ability to select 3 different elements of items that can be auto-generated using AI in the same course after the meeting. So the meeting happens, the speaker presents, and everything that is said in the presentation, BigBlueButton now also has this transcript as a format, which is the text, pure text, everything that was said, and that is fetched by Moodle, and with that generates quizzes, a summary, and an essay for that particular content. So an example of that quiz is this one that we have here. Essentially 5 questions can be changed, but we normally only do, by default, we only do 5. And that comes to the quiz, how's it called? The question
Quiz bank?
a quiz bank, a question bank. And with all the grades and whatever is needed for that one. And that was the last one. So that's a good. Thank you very much. And with that, we would like to open the microphone for questions, and as I say, for feedback overall. Fred?
Yeah.
And please wait for a microphone before asking your question. We'll try and shuffle these around.
One over there.
Yeah, the session was workshop, so we wanted to come and show you all the work that we've been doing. A few points, a lot of the stuff that Jesus showed, all of those are plugins, and they are plugins that we intend to make to the Moodle partners we work with, the over 25. And this is how we want to add more value because we are a commercial entity, we want to grow, want to be sustainable. And we have been working really hard, as you can see, to make it possible to extend Moodle and BigBlueButton. So with that, please give me your feedback, or we would welcome your feedback on what you've seen so far and any suggestions you have.
I use BigBlueButton. It's a great tool. Thank you. I am installing it also on closed networks, and it was very complicated to install on recent version because everything was downlinked from the internet, so I have to do scripts and complicated installation. Is there a plan to give easy installation on closed networks?
Yes, that plan is contact Blindside networks. So we have done on-site air-gap deployments for the US military for the last 10 years, and that is completely inside their firewall. So BigBlueButton it does a lot, right? And we have the installer that you can set it up in 15 minutes on your own server, but when you get to enterprise deployments, please contact us, we can help.
Hello, I have a question over here on this side, left side. You're right, my left. Have you guys been able to connect the BigBlueButton attendance, the session attendance, to the Moodle activity of attendance, like present, absent, things like that? Have you been able to, like, if they're in attendance for a BigBlue meeting session, have we been able to move that information over and auto-update the attendance activity in Moodle?
Jesus, can I ask you to, use the microphone, good point.
Right here. Yeah, no, at this point is only a report, but that is, we're taking note here, and that is something that we are definitely going to consider. The beautiful of this is that now we have the flexibility of do things, like, again, as we did in the past, like, and move as fast as we used to. We used to have releases or not releases, minor releases or updates every month, and one a year for like major updates. So that's what some of you have been using BigBlueButton with Moodle. You know that those changes used to happen that way. So that's what we are able to do now.
Thank you. Ultimately, you save instructor time. That way instructors don't have to have attendance.
Yep.
For an attendance taking school.
Correct.
Yeah. All the things that we look at, when we can save the instructor time, what is that time used for? More interaction, engagement, authentic engagement with the students. Gentleman in the center?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. You said you've used JavaScript once again for this. Having tried custom JavaScript with Moodle Mobile, there's not a great deal of success. So is your JavaScript running on the back end because of your core integration? Or how did you overcome that? Are you doing that in the back end?
So the question is this, how is this going to roll on Moodle Mobile, what we're doing?
Yeah, is it compatible with Moodle Mobile, essentially?
I think we would want to check that out to be sure. Like some of the stuff that Jesus showed is 5.1, and there's probably some testing ahead with the mobile team. So BigBlueButton has a mobile-first architecture. Like you can whip it open to your cell phone, it will all work. We certainly want to make sure the rest of it works.
Yeah, the mobile has its own implementation of the view. It has nothing to do with the view that is native to the desktop application, let's say. To start with, this data table that has been there since 4.0 will not work in the app. So it's something else. If anything is missing, definitely we will contact the mobile app team, with whom we also have a close relationship. and just go with them. If you have anything to report, just I think we put it in the. You send it to here, and we'll follow up with you.
Hi, thank you. It's great to see that all the learning analytics will be passed into Moodle. The completion of the activity will be automatically made by the scheduler, or will be made by hands like now? Like now you have to activate the completion of the activity inside Moodle.
So is the question, like, we do have the activity completion, is the question, how do you enable that or initiate it? Or how does it
No, just now, if you have a BigBlueButton activity inside Moodle, you have to enable the completion by hand.
Yes.
And it's not made by the routine.
We don't have it. I'm sorry that we assume many or most of the people will already be user of these features. And the way the completion, so we don't have a slide for that. But the way the completion works is, because it's enabled, it can be used. You go enable and you select the criteria of that completion. That includes essentially two data points. One of them is the time spent in the meeting. You can define 5, 10, 30 minutes. Or you can mark also the engagement the student had in that. It can be both together, or it can be only one of them. It's just up to the teacher.
You have to enable it by hand
I think the question is, can we automatically enable it in some way? Could it be automatically set up for having certain activity completion? The calculation.
Oh, the calculation.
is enabled by hand. It's not enabled by the routine, by the scripts.
So, and the calculation for like all the things that could trigger the activity completion? So I think there's, it's like you raised a hand once or you're in the session for more than 90 minutes, like that calculation?
Yeah, those are predefined.
Ask us after the session. We can do a bit deeper into it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question, see over there? Oh, yes, go for it.
Congratulations, Fred. Congratulations, Jesus, for all this. And one or two questions, actually. Is there documentation for these sub-plugins and how they can be developed? And whether it's possible for third parties to create such sub-plugins for BigBlueButton? And yeah, the second question is whether the BigBlueButton server that will work with the Moodle that has these sub-plugins need to have something special, or the open source BigBlueButton server can be used for this purpose.
So I can.
The second part
I can do the second part. The first one was the documentation.
Yep.
The second part is, there actually is a lot of back-end going on. So the plugin running in BigBlueButton sort of talks to the BigBlueButton server, and there's a component there that we developed to proxy the request back to Moodle, because you can't make a request from the client to Moodle securely, because the credentials will all be there. So we, Blindside Networks, have developed some components that allow us to make that secure connection back and forth. We haven't open sourced them. The intent is that we will make them available to the Moodle partners. BigBlueButton obviously is all open source. Other people could do it. We would, suggest that if you have desires to create some deeper integration with Moodle, come to us. We can share with you like kind of the approaches we did. And more so, if you're in the audience, you're thinking, I'd love to use that, and you're working with a Moodle partner, go to the Moodle partner. Like, we work again with over 25 of them, and we empower them. Just like Moodle empowers the Moodle partner with Moodle Workplace, we are empowering them with some of these plugins that aren't available so they can add more value. And in terms of the docs?
Well, it's both. It's documentation and essentially how to do it. Documentation, I'm afraid to say that we have not much. It's internally documented in the code, but there is no document that you can follow. What we have is the examples, and the best example is the same test include those examples of how they are implemented. There are some pictures there that are, in fact, implementation of some plugins. But we're just waiting for Marketplace to be launched, so we can have also sub-plugins in there that can work as an example, and they will have the kind of documentation on how that was implemented. But I'm taking note on the documentation for the sub-plugin implementation to bring it to Moodle, and I think we're going to be the volunteers to do that documentation, and we should have it very soon.
Eric, how much time do we have left? Oh, perfect, because we do want your feedback, please.
Hi, I cannot say enough good things about BigBlueButton as a product and also as a community, so thank you all for your work. I love the news. I love all that you have shown, and I have two questions. Some of them already well done. So the first one is, how are you calculating that engagement number, which is it's a nice number to have, but I'd like to know it's going back and forth, if it's taking into account previous BigBlueButton sessions, or where does that number come from? And second, where is today's technology in regards of maximum capacity of users inside a single BigBlueButton session, regardless the server? I mean, if you have all the needed servers, the theoretical that the software is permitting, because as we all know, a 2,000 user is not even a classroom anymore. It's a webinar, and that's something I usually tell my clients when they ask, yes, I want 2,000 users in my BigBlueButton. But sometimes pushing it to 150, 200, it's sometimes reasonable. So I wanted to know where are we at theoretically now?
Webinars. For the first part, I'm afraid we don't have here on site, this site, the engineer who designed that algorithm, but he's on the booth. He's actually covering the booth right now, so we can ask him.
Perfect.
And actually, I think if I go back in the slides, the place where we showed the score, let's see, it came back there. It's a little blurred, but anyway, here the score is 7. That is whatever you want it to be. So as Jesus said earlier on, that was a sub plugin that's got full access to the Moodle database, and because we send all the BigBlueButton data back into the database, you can create unified reports. And these are examples of data that we could come back. So that score, however it was calculated, if there was an at-risk score, or there was something about the student might be at risk, or they're failing behind, the idea is that we create a mechanism to show whatever data you want. You as the customer, you as the Moodle partner could say, I have 4 things that our partners really want, or the educators really want. You create sub-plugins for each of those 4, and that's done. You don't have to modify the core because of the work that Jesus did to make it extensible. So these are examples, and I think if we have a little bit of time at the end, I might ask you guys, like, if there's any data that we could pull out of Moodle and make available to the educator so they could give more personalized feedback, like what would that data be?
Yes, I imagine specifically in Moodle Workplace, for instance, having the place in the company regarding the structure, the organizational structure, like knowing which department and where that person is. Yeah. It's a nice plugin, but there are many more.
Yeah, if the data is, if BigBlueButton is generating analytics, we're putting it to Moodle, and if Moodle has data that you want, you can surface it in BigBlueButton.
Great.
Excellent.
And the other part?
Oh, scalability. Yes, aha. Okay, so it's been a journey. Like if you had started with BigBlueButton back in 2000, I mean, we would have said, maybe 25 users of that. And then we got to 100, and then 200. And working a lot with the German community, we have refactored a ton of the back end. So whatever numbers I throw out, they're all conditional, right? We ourselves at Blindside Edinburgh, we routinely host sessions of 300 concurrent users now. We have seen the BigBlueButton server stress tested up to 600 users, and I know the developers are gunning for 1,000. And even beyond that, If you want, most webinar tools at that point, because it becomes a webinar, they do like a live streaming. So there was I think a high-performance computing lab in Germany, I forget the name, but they actually built an entire streaming solution at scale for BigBlueButton, which means you could be in a BigBlueButton session, and a client connects, and then it starts broadcasting a live stream to YouTube or anything else. And they did it so it could be like scalable on that side. Very impressive. They made a presentation at our BigBlueButton World. So every year we host an online conference about what's going on in the community. And if you look at the YouTube channel for BigBlueButton, you'll see that. But 300, no problem. And we want to get higher and higher. So 2,000, yeah, there's always going to be somebody. But that top of the pyramid, which is that, like, it's very small. Most classes we see are between 12 and 24 students. We do see some occasional classes like 150 and more, but most of them are just 25, and at that level, you want to be like the students interacting, you don't want them to be idle, and all the things that we do for engagement and analytics come into full play. Other questions?
Yep.
Hi. Yeah, it actually plays quite nicely on from the scalability question. So one of the, there's two things really that are linked to that that we've talked about in my organization. One being closer integration with Moodle and things like figuring out what groups are people in and being able to use that, not just to go separate groups, create separate sessions, because you still want everybody in a session, but using the groups people are allocated to create individual breakout rooms within a session, which at the moment we haven't been able to figure out if that's possible. I don't think it is yet. But then also enabling the moderator to do more of the things that the presenter can do while still enabling the presenter to stay as a presenter, so they can be more effectively supported in those bigger scale sessions. So it's just figuring out if those things are on the roadmap to support large scale, or if it's come and talk to you situation again.
Oh, no, we got answers. So maybe the first one about passing the groups in. I think we tried that before, years ago. So the student groups in Moodle could come in and pre-populate the groups, the breakout rooms. Is that what you're looking for? So I think we did a shot at it a couple of years ago. We sort of like, I think we can do this a bit better. But I think now this is probably all doable with plugins. Like BigBlueButton plugins, yeah. So not today, but we're thinking the same, right? If you've set up the groups already in Moodle, and when you come in and you click to do breakout rooms, they're all pre-populated. So good to hear it. Other people have asked for it as well. And the second one, tell me again.
Just at the moment, a presenter's got full functionality, but a moderator doesn't.
Yes.
And being able to better support presenter, because our presenters aren't necessarily educators and teachers in the same way others are. They're subject matter experts, and their technology capacity and ability to present and handle the technology is a little bit sketchy sometimes. And we offer them quite a lot of support just so they don't get distracted trying to figure out where they're going. But that's difficult to do with the moderator power being so limited compared to presenters.
Right. So should we get to a place where like any moderator could advance the slides for the presenter or upload slides in the background for the next presenter? Come by in the booth and I'll get a little bit more, but you know, the mode for a BigBlueButton is really there as a presenter and they're sort of like engaged with the class. Come by and we'll sort of dig a bit deeper. Really good. Other questions?
Yeah, I want to take what she just asked to the developer side of you. And I was wondering, when you do integrations both ways, have there been any moments, for sure there have, where you thought like there have been made bad architectural decisions in the past, either in Moodle core or BigBlueButton core, which makes the extensions you wanted to do and exchange data more difficult? And then was there a point when you maybe thought of improving like the course and to be able to, maybe it's about you define standards about how data is exchanged and to be even more sustainable and not have in the end a lot of workarounds, which works as well, but how was this? Was this an issue at some point? I was just wondering. I'm curious.
So the question was like when we integrated the data, taking data from BigBlueButton and Moodle and putting the data from Moodle back into BigBlueButton, did we have to kind of like convolute ourselves or work around limitations? And then maybe I think as Jesus said, we have had activity completion in since 2020 or that, like earlier, which is, we were already sending a chunk of data to Moodle. And at that time, the integration was only just using a very small amount of the data to do activity completion, and then it just went away. And then over time, we realized, like, wait a minute, that's really good data. Could we get that into Moodle? So that Jesus and the team did a sub-plugin. Go ahead.
No, but to your point, yes, the standardization of using the standards for data interchange, yeah, there is a custom endpoint. It has been hanging there for like quite many years. Yeah, I see the point. It should be changed to at least REST API or something like more adapted to what Moodle should do. That is in Moodle. And in terms of BigBlueButton, yeah, something different than just signing the request, you know, or having a unique and accessible endpoint. But for the moment, that's how we have it, you know. But I see the point. It will have to be reworked and improved for especially for security reasons. Yeah, no, I got it.
So just echoing on what Jesus said, like it has been there, that endpoint's been there for years. Moodle Cloud uses it. And in terms of us reaching back into Moodle, it is authenticated. There's other ways we could do it, but it is a checksum with the shared secret on both sides. So you ain't getting any data unless you know the same shared secret that BigBlueButton uses to launch sessions. And again, there's like cybersecurity experts that have looked through the code and that. If there's anything we can do to make it more secure, absolutely. But we care a lot about student data. Okay. Yes?
Okay, hi Fred. One of our use cases we're looking at is in higher education, because of AI, needing to do more assessments by assessed conversation, either one-to-one or small group, and looking at using BigBlueButton in that process. And one of the key things we've got is the difficulties the markers have in trying to actually grade against various points that they end up having to do after the session. Is there any possibility of actually having inbuilt grading points within a BigBlueButton session where you can actually, if you're doing a one-to-one conversation, you can actually be grading it as you're having that conversation, and then obviously that being transferred into the Moodle mark schemes and grades, etc.
So this sounds like an excellent, like an example of a plugin for Moodle and BigBlueButton, where imagine the session starts up and a BigBlueButton plugin says, okay, here's your rubric, and the panel's up the left. So as you interact with the student, you check off, you grade them according to the rubric, and before the session ends, there's a button that says submit this back to Moodle, and it goes back to Moodle. If you asked us a year ago, we would be like, oh my goodness, well, maybe we could build this into the core of BigBlueButton, but no, we can actually do this as a plugin. So you have to come by the booth and tell me a little bit more what you want to do, because we have the ability now to extend the core, and like we're ready to rock. Okay. Other questions?
I was just going to ask, please don't do that with BlueButton, because a lot of the audience probably don't have access to BlueButton. We're not allowed to use it. It needs to be done in core Moodle. That's something that we really need, an observation tool that when you're doing practical activities, you can mark students. But I would say there is an opportunity with Moodle outcomes, if anyone has played with those, that you can do that sort of thing, set the outcomes up before the session, and you can have a good view of your marking guide, a different sort of style view of your marking guide, and you can mark very quickly during a session online.
Yeah. And your comment about BigBlueButton like needs to go in the core, certainly the integration is there in the core. If you do try to activate the integration, and actually there's a link that invites you to come back to Blindside Network's website. You can get a free shared secret. We'll host for up to 5 concurrent sessions, no cost, and you can use it in a limited way. And I always think there's more things in the future we can do to deepen it. And if you have ideas or suggestions or requests around it, like, again, come by and let's just chat some more. But as you can see, like we've been on a journey, and there's even more things now that have opened up with the ability to extend the core of Moodle with sub-plugins and BigBlueButton with plugins. So tell us your use cases. All right, any other questions? Or comments? One more? Great. This is excellent, by the way.
Rein Jaanesaar, Baltic Methodist Theological Seminary, Tallinn. We gladly used this BigBlueButton, but we had a need for simultaneous translation and audio channels simultaneously. Then we turned back to the Zoom, because Zoom has it. Even now the Teams has it. Is it some kind of possibility to have simultaneous translation or multiple channels, audio channels?
So is this with human translation or AI translation?
Human first.
Okay, so at the BigBlueButton World, we actually did live translation into Spanish and German using a plugin that enabled translators to come. So we had a group of translators in Brazil who were taking like professional training. They came in and they provide the live translation, and this was all done with a plugin. Now, this is an example of where we're adding value that we can license to people, come back to us, but we've done it. If you go to the recordings, they're all translated into different languages. And the second part of your question was, again? That was the question, okay. So we know these needs for years, and we are now like, okay, we can build this now as a plugin. If you ask me for AI translation, there are like third-party products that can do it. We've been looking at one like Gladia.io to do live transcription or translation. And really this is driven a lot by customer pull. So we have a solution for the live translation by humans. Come talk to us afterwards. We'll share with you what we did. Are there any other requests people have that we have already done? All right, look, I just want to thank you all. This is great. Again, thanks to Jesus and Samisho and the team. A lot of people worked really hard with this, and it's been awesome on this journey, and we have lots more to do. Thank you again.